What if I told you there was a way you can make $80,000 without spending any more than you already do? This right here is the Coinbase debit card. This card allows you to spend digital assets anywhere in the world that Visa debit is accepted, which last time I checked is just about everywhere. But what are stablecoins, you're asking? Well, stablecoins are a form of digital currency. They can be sent anywhere, anytime, at a fraction of a second for minimal to no cost. And one currency that I get no cost on is USDC through Coinbase. Now, to be clear, this is not a paid advertisement. This is not sponsored by Coinbase. This is just something that I realized I should be doing. Now, USDC is backed 1-to-1 by the US dollars. It resembles the US dollar exactly. And so it is essentially like using dollars. It is the same amount of currency, just in a digital form that is much more convenient, much more efficient, and works for me. Now, through Coinbase, I get 4.5% APY on my USDC that I hold. So I've always used that for my trading. I've kept things in USDC so that I gain on anything that I'm storing when I'm not buying and I'm waiting for a dip. But when I got this card, I let it sit around for probably 6 months because, well, I don't really like to take things out of my exchange. I want to continue to invest and build. But the magic of the Coinbase debit card is you get 0.5% back on all purchases back in Bitcoin. And so you're sitting there saying 0.5%. 0.5%. What is 0.5%? That's nothing. And you know what? That's what I said for 6 months. And then I thought about math for a second. And I was like, oh, hey, Bitcoin has a 60% compound annual growth rate consistently over time. So what if I just paid for everything in USDC? Well, not only would I be making that 0.5% on Bitcoin, but I would be getting the 4.5% APY over the course of time that I'm holding it. Now, this doesn't seem like much still, right? But keep this in mind. The average household in America, don't know where you're watching this, the average household in America spends $3,900 a month. Outside of rent and utilities, keep in mind, which down right there sounds like an issue and is insane. But if you're spending $3,900 a month, all right, and you're spending it all in USDC, that is an average of $975 spent per week. So if you spend $975 a week and you're holding it all throughout the month as you're spending it, at the end of the month, after you've spent your $3,900, you're left with $28.46. Again, you're like, what is the point of that? That's nothing. But the message of this video isn't just how to make the money with the card. It's also the effects of small amounts compounding and building over time, which is the very basic principle of investing. Now, with $28.46, if you were able to take those rewards every month, take your appreciation on your USDC, and take your 0.5% back in Bitcoin, after 10 years, you would be left with $80,720 just from spending. No credit cards, no interest, just from spending. Spending the way that the future is meant to spend. Spending without the regulation or just misery of traditional banking. Traditional banking is slow, it's inefficient. But stablecoins are not, and they work for you. Now, if you're sitting there saying, well, I can get 4% back on my credit card or 3% back, and I could just invest that into Bitcoin, you're winning, all right? I'm not telling you not to do that. I would recommend, don't hold the balance on your credit card. Debt is slavery. But if you're doing that, I mean, you are absolutely winning. And I know there's all sorts of ways right now to earn passive Bitcoin. And if there are any ways that you're already earning passive Bitcoin, leave it down for me in the comments because I'm always interested to find out more. But if you don't like debt and you're worried about getting into that method of slavery that is debt, If you're anti-credit card, like a lot of us are on this channel, because what's our ethos here? Spend nothing? Well, then you can just use, essentially, your cash as stablecoins and gain money. And even if you aren't spending $3,900 a month, which it does seem high, especially if you're a single person and you're like, I'm not going to spend that much, maybe you spend $1,000, which I would say is low for most people. You're still going to make over $20,000 over 10 years just from spending your money that you would have already spent. You got to buy groceries, you got to buy gas. All of it adds up. Little amounts add up over time, and as they compound, especially with a compound annual growth rate like Bitcoin's, the returns are crazy. And that's not to mention the amount of cash that maybe you put into the investments. This is not financial advice, but this is showing you that the future is exciting because we're not going to have to deal with traditional banking. There are going to be tools for people to not have to live the way we are living right now. And that's why people are excited about Bitcoin and digital assets, cryptocurrency, stable coins. That's why legislation is being put into place. Because there is hope for my generation to not have to live how we are living. And it's through Bitcoin. It's through all of these tools. Many people are not fans of Coinbase that are true decentralized traders. But it's tools like this that separate them from the rest because they are tied to the genuine financial institutions. They have that networking, they have that capability, and these tools will only get better and better. They're about to release their credit card with a possibility of 4.4% back in Bitcoin, which I, of course, will get, and I will follow up with you guys how that goes. But if you just want to spend your dollars, you don't want the risk of debt, you don't want the possibility of a high interest rate, well, stablecoins are the future. It's the way things are going right now. This coming week, the Genius Act will be signed into law by the president, and we've got an exciting future ahead of us. $80,000 from just spending your monthly spending bill already. I gotta go. I will see you all tomorrow. I've got 6 miles to run.